Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our podcast, Moms on the Move. I'm Jen Wells.
And I'm Ashley Steigerwald.
We have our Wilson girls here today.
Yay!
We've got Cada Paulson and Mary Allison Zimmerman.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. They're both so excited to be here.
We are. We're thrilled.
I don't know if that's actually true.
Probably not.
We
about 50%.
labeled today's episode,
Dun, 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 dun.
dun, 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 Single in the City.
Yay.
They're like, we don't want to be on display that we're single, so it's not going to be about that.
I mean, a little bit about that.
I feel like let's just take the judgment out and the
That's
labels.
right. That's right. Take it out.
Exactly.
Take it out.
We're here to talk about all the things.
Yeah. Like, because we're in, like, our little, like, mom bubbles.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's fun to pop our head out and be like, hey, girl, what you doing over there?
Because you're probably doing something way more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but we're doing something slightly different. I
Yes.
suppose.
Yes.
Do you know, though,
Very
like,
different.
I have to admit, a lot of the times, like, I go back to this time prior to children. Well, specifically, one time when I binge watched, what's the one on drugs?
Euphoria?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Oh.
I was thinking
When
Euphoria.
I say binged watched it, I did not move. And I, like, go back and I'm like, those were just really the days. Like that.
When you could afford to do that. Yeah.
When I could do that. I could just sit in my pajamas and binge watch Breaking Bad.
Right.
Did that last weekend with Bridgerton.
Oh, Bridgerton.
It's delightful
Yes.
experience.
I started it, and then I was like, I can't get into this. And then everybody freaked out about it. And so then I went back and watched it, and I was able to get through it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay, so
It's really good.
okay, so honestly, that was exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Bridgerton, you got to watch it." And I'm like, I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, the only good thing was like the Duke.
Ugh.
So
I have nothing to offer.
I
this
got very
conversation.
caught up on it's not historically accurate. And then I realized that's not the point of it. And so then I had to go watch it through the lens. When I found out it was Shonda Rhimes, I was like, okay, let's
Yeah.
go watch it back through the
She
Shonda
always
Rhimes.
creates
Yes,
gold.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
She's good.
it was good stuff.
What are you watching?
I've been watching Scandal, which is interesting.
That's so like 2008.
I know.
Just a decade later.
I know. I always do that though, which is weird. You
Scandal's
would think
great.
that I'm up on it, but it's very
Shondaland.
empowering.
I never watched Scandal.
It's really good.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of meanders off at some points. You're like,
It's so
wow,
good.
like let's get on with it. But it's very empowering, women's empowerment, professional development type thing.
Professional development.
Ruling the world.
It is good. It's very women power,
it
as
is.
all her other things are.
And then it kind of meanders off into like some soap opera territory and then back again. So you
Yeah.
get a little bit of all of it.
We're also watching Outlander. We're almost done.
That is, speaking of soap
I haven't
opera
seen that either,
territory.
see,
I couldn't get into it. I watched a couple.
really?
Yeah,
That
no,
is
he doesn't
historic.
do it for me.
Oh,
What?
Don't tell Carmen Putnam that.
that is like my dream man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I haven't watched the show yet.
So
You know,
good.
I feel like there are just so many good shows to watch, and I do, but I'm also trying to not watch television Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I only read.
Good for you.
I know this is like since last week, so don't get too excited.
You're on day one.
I'll check in next week to see how it's going.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm reading like really deep books.
Yeah.
But I was like, this will just make my mind a little more active.
That's good. What are you reading?
What is it called? Oh, The Wife Upstairs.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's very good. I joined a book of the month.
As opposed to the wife downstairs.
Well, it's
so
just
simple.
called The Wife Upstairs. It's fantastic. I like scary books, so
Okay.
really enjoy
You
it.
like
you're-
that dark,
Yeah.
deep,
Yeah.
like thriller stuff.
Because you're into the true crime podcast.
Love true crime.
You got me
Oh, you
turned
do,
on to it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, love true crime. It's makes me happy.
I know, isn't
to
that
listen.
isn't that
Yeah.
like it's kind of dark because I
It-
feel like
it
a
is
lot of
dark.
women are always like, I love
Yeah.
talking about
you-
and watching.
You see all
the
those
murder.
memes where it's like, you know, I love to sit in my sweatpants and drink wine and watch true
murders.
crime, and
I used to really be on a kick, and then I think it was many years, and then I kind of got over it. Like I moved to more of a positive note. I don't know if that's it's just cyclical. I'll probably
I go
be back.
I go
I'm
back and
sure.
forth.
Yeah,
That's what it
absolutely.
is. Like I was
That's probably
listening to Dateline has a podcast, Mommy Doomsday. It's about the mom
Oh,
who
God.
killed her 2 kids and then went to Hawaii. It's only like episode 3, so I'll cycle between that and then Brene Brown's like leadership podcast.
That's exactly what I do. I'm like, oh my god, that's
Whatever works.
Dark.
I did start that Audible.
Jen Sincero,
Yeah.
you are a
She is amazing. That book is amazing.
She told me to start it, and I walked
have read
in
it
here like,
twice, and it needs to be on like a weekly rotation. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like.
so good.
It is really good. We can also talk about Rupert, your new
Yes.
dog.
I got a dog, or I adopted a dog in December. I've had a cat for the past 2 years, Rexford, and then I adopted Rupert
Through Auction for a Cause.
through Auction for a Cause. It was the best decision I have made aside from
Very
Rexford.
handsome.
He is the best. He's just an absolute gem. I knew I couldn't handle a puppy.
And they get along really well, don't they?
Well, they do. I mean, Rexford's really into Rupert. Rupert is slightly terrified of Rexford. But they're getting there.
Yeah.
And he's, I think, as a single person, especially during COVID, if, you know, not going out as much, he has made me go outside more.
Yes.
You know, so I go
always
hiking
go to the
now every
parks with them.
weekend. Yeah, I go to Paris Mountain all the time with him. Whereas otherwise I would have just been like going and hiking alone, I guess, or with friends, but mainly alone. And now I have like a reason to go and take him, and it's been wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, when I got Callie, it was like that. I just started doing a lot more. I mean, now, because it's like, I felt like I had to. Probably the way you feel like as a parent. You know, it's like I'm working too much. I've got to get the dog outside. I've got to go.
You're good about taking Callie places. Like, I remember when I first started working there, I'd come into this office, and I go upstairs, and this dog was like,
I think she kind of scares people.
she's a little neurotic.
She has some issues, but
Sweet
she's,
Callie.
you know, she's,
So
that's
cute.
what you get with a rescue. You never know what they come with, you know, but she's my little muffin. I love her. She's perfect.
All right, so we've got dog lovers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Cat lover.
And cat lover.
Okay, I always
Really
say
all
cat.
animal lovers.
All
I mean,
animal,
I would
yeah.
live on a farm with 500 if I could. I mean, that's goals.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, so how's dating? Tell us everything.
You know, I haven't really dated this past year.
Yeah.
COVID-wise.
I think that's, you know, some people have, some people haven't. I really haven't.
She worried about the vid.
Are you
I
worried
get
about
you.
the vid?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm ready to get back out there,
Yeah.
and when, you know, everything opens back up and it's good to go. But I've just been taking the time and sort of enjoying the time to myself, and with
Yeah.
Rupert and Rexford.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting. I mean, I've read a lot more, but
Yeah.
I am excited to start dating again. I think that will be fun.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard with COVID and,
Yeah.
and wanting to be like, I know you've been really conscious and respectful of other people and not, you know, bringing your germs around. You've been really good about that. I would think it's really hard if you're single during COVID and you're trying not to go out or trying not to eat
Yeah.
at restaurants. I would imagine it'd make it really hard right now.
It is. I mean, you know, you can talk to people, and I guess you can do the virtual dating thing. I haven't really tried that.
What
I
does
know
that
it works.
look like?
You know,
know.
FaceTiming, I guess.
FaceTiming.
Just seems
I-
like a recipe for awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't really
agree.
seem like something I would excel at.
Yeah.
Right.
So I haven't tried.
And I would giggle the whole time. They'd be like, "You're annoying." I'd
Yeah.
be like, "Yeah, well,
I
better
think
to
it'd be
know
better
now."
on FaceTime.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better on FaceTime than in person.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
like,
that's awkward too, because then, like, instead of having a conversation, you're like wondering about the angle. And you're like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't
Yeah.
know.
You're
It
like,
just doesn't work.
always from
out.
up above.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you go in person and
You're like, oh.
yeah.
it's not there.
I feel almost though, especially during COVID, the not dating part has taken a backseat to, you know, not really being able to see my family.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas I feel like, you know, if you're married and you have kids,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure there's a downside to always being with your husband and kids.
Right.
But like my brother lives in upstate New York. I haven't seen them in 14 months now.
And you haven't seen your parents in a while either.
I have not. I've seen them twice since this began, and both, you know, after multiple tests and everything. But I haven't seen them. I was alone for Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, so the dating part has almost taken a step back,
Yeah.
as to more wanting to just be around them.
I would have to agree. I mean, it was like, I've definitely felt for my friends with kids, because they were like, God, especially during quarantine, because they were just like, you know, I'm really climbing the walls. But I mean, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we were climbing the walls in terms of, you know, it's just you with your dog. And I mean, it gets a little dark there. And you turn to the world of TikTok and you're like, oh no, like once
got
you've
really
opened
into
that.
TikTok.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much so, you know, because it's weird. It's just weird times that we're living in.
are you a TikTok content producer or a content? Okay, same.
No one needs to see that.
Yeah,
No,
same.
yeah. Well,
I'd be
I'm not gonna lie, I did.
Yeah.
I have dabbled into some TikTok.
Are
yes.
they still up?
I don't know. They might.
I'll
be.
look after.
I was
now
gonna
I'm
say,
curious,
you
yeah.
know, she'll throw me under the bus.
Because I'm a content consumer on TikTok, but
consume.
not a content producer.
Yeah.
It looks complicated.
I don't have
I
time
agree.
for that.
I
Like,
agree.
again, if I was not, you know, working a day job, sure, like maybe I'll I don't know, but it just seems like there's a lot that goes into that.
I've made some.
She's like, I'm just
I
going to
didn't know
announce
this
this
about
now.
you, Jen. I'm very excited to
Are
find
they
them.
up
No.
to be watched? You just
No.
make them and keep them?
No, I deleted them all.
I honestly make funny ones and then
first
send
of
them to
all,
people and then threaten them.
I
Like, don't
only-
ever share these. Like,
Me and my sister were doing some dance ones. And then I had a girls' night in our backyard. And we were like, let's try to do this dance. We didn't even practice it. We just like watched it.
yeah. And then you're like,
And
yeah.
then we did it. And it was hilarious.
I have flashbacks to the one, the 4 women. It's like, it's been too long. It's been too long. And then they're like, no.
I don't know if I know that.
These 4 older women and all these younger girls started ripping on them. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad. They're so sweet.
That's so mean.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Careful what you
That's my fear.
Just have fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for
But I feel
sure.
like it's less judgy, and thank God it's less political than
Yes.
a lot of the
Yeah.
other social media stuff.
Yeah.
It seems
I mean,
just
it's
more
back to like being more fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
Because everything's gotten real heavy.
It's
Yeah.
very, I mean, people you can tell are at that breaking point for sure.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, that's been a weird thing. I've had some conversations with people and they start to veer into political. I'm like, no, we're not, we're just getting to know
Drive
each
the
other.
bus
I'm
back.
not interested in
Right.
your
Yeah.
political opinions, like at all.
So, are you on a dating app?
I am not, actually.
not.
Are you?
You know, I used to be.
Didn't you used to be?
I think I
We've all like,
done
cycled
it. I think
in
I'm
and on and
currently
off.
signed up still. I haven't opened the app in months.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoy a swipe as much as the next person.
Yeah.
But it's just not.
But you really kind of have to be
Again,
dedicated to
not-
that.
yeah,
Like,
it's,
you know, because I think there's
you have,
like they
24 hours to
expired.
reply.
Yeah.
I think it like things expire, and so it's like if you don't check.
Like, and I never did.
regularly,
And then people are like, why didn't
just
you swipe right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I've swiped at all on anybody or anything. Like, you know, just that
Greenville's
person.
Such a small town.
That's
I feel
what I
like
was
you
gonna ask if it's
often come
hard,
across
yeah.
people that you know, and you're
Oh,
like,
really?
And then awkwardly, you'll come across somebody who forgot to delete their profile when, like, I've known of people where they've actually gotten married, and I know that they, and I think the thing is you have to go into Facebook and actually delete the permission where, so even if you've deleted your
I wouldn't know
profile,
how to do that.
well, I don't know, because I looked into this, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I was at your wedding. Like, and, you know,
Yeah.
it just turns out that you have to actually pull it off of the back end of the permission on Facebook. So it's just very interesting to see that. 'cause I've had
Have
that
you ever
happen.
messed around with any dating apps, Jen? And,
No.
Okay, so the girl who does my hair, she's
Yeah.
on some of them, and so while I get my hair done, she lets me swipe.
Well, I was about to say, I want to see.
so
I
much.
A lot of
swear,
people
when
do
I
that.
first-
So much fun.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my, and I don't know. I was like, at first I was like, God, I feel so judgmental, and then like 20 swipes in, I'm like,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'd swipe right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you were the one that was like had some funny stories when I first started.
Oh, I've got a lot
About-
of funny stories.
yeah.
Some
About
interesting.
some of
Y'all
the
give me a
dating
call
apps.
if you're ever looking for some laughs. Like,
But Greenville is a smaller city.
Yeah,
so
it
I went from Miami to Boston, and that was the like sphere of my dating lives, Miami and Boston. And so, you know, you've got a ridiculous amount of people. I would imagine in Greenville, it's a little bit harder because, I mean, I find it as a parent, like we end up running in the same circles with the same people. And I imagine you end up running with a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
You
I came from Baltimore
Yeah.
to Charleston to here, and Baltimore I would see, you know, different people constantly, and I really do see the same people on here.
yeah.
And you know, you say you swipe no or yes, and they'll pop back up.
Yeah.
when you
Oh,
say
yeah.
no.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you set your radius at.
Like if you accidentally swipe, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Blew it.
Have you
Now
done
I'm
that?
like-
Have you swiped the wrong way?
Oh, yeah.
sometimes? You're like,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like
I
2
think you like
a.m.
can
You're like,
shake your phone though,
Yeah.
and it.
yeah. There's all kinds of like tricks
Yeah,
to
it
the
depends
trade.
on the app.
Yeah.
But no, not active on there. In short.
I haven't honestly been, and I need to. Somebody was like, I think somebody asked me recently, like, how's the dating world going? I was like, I mean, it's not going. Like, I'm not really actively engaged. I mean, I call them the applicants. There are some applicants that are,
applicants.
that are, you know, just filtering through. But it's just a weird, it's a weird time. I mean, I work a lot. You know, that's one thing, and then. You know, I feel like you kind of get in a groove of like sort of enjoying your time that you have to yourself. So like, you know, and we come at it from different perspectives. Like I've been married before, you know, so I did,
Right.
you know, I would approach that in a different way around too. You know, I do want to get married and have kids, but it's going to be the right fit
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Well, we're gonna find you someone.
oh, stop.
That's the goal.
Oh no! Look at this Pandora's box that we've opened.
I know.
No, but I think one of the good things, and Mary Allison, you and I have talked about this, is like making sure that like you're taking care of yourself, like mental health, and that you're you're in a good headspace.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And, you know, having gotten married younger, and not having that like alone time, you know, sometimes I think back and like, oh, if I only had, you know, that couple years to travel or something, and I would never ever go back and do it differently.
Yeah.
But
there's so much truth to that.
Yeah.
And I think it's for different people at different times. I mean, I have done so much personal development and business development in the last several years that I wouldn't give that up for anything, you know, and I think I just did it backwards. Like it was, I was always kind of in relationships, and then, you know, I've had a good string of years of being single, and I'm like, this is fun. Like I kind of feel like I missed out earlier on. So it's been kind of cool to do it.
Well, and it's, I hate to use that, but it's like the societal pressure of you need to go, and, you know, that's the first question people ask, are you dating anybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's more like, how's your business plan going? Wow, you're really working.
100%.
And
then you start talking about, you know, you'll say, oh yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm working on me, and they're like,
oh,
and you're like, I mean, it's not like I'm some sad story.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a good thing. You should be like, but you know, I think too, like, and this is probably a little different from you, but people start to look at me and they're like, I mean, you know, as you start to get a little bit older, they go, well, I mean, don't you want children? And I'm like,
so
like, really? Like, it's a lot of pressure. And then you're also like, you know nothing about my story. And they mean well. There is no question there. I've never had somebody ask it where they were, you know, just being, because you can tell. I mean, they do. It's just.
Can we draw a line in the sand?
Right.
Where they're like, some questions are just not acceptable
Yes.
anymore.
Like if you're starting to ask someone you really don't know about freezing eggs, and like, it's too far.
I do think it is different up north. I expected it to be more different down here than I think it ended up really being. Up north, you know, I think traditionally women were getting married a lot later in life. So being single was not as much of a thing. I mean,
more career focus.
Yeah. And you know, when I moved down here, I was slightly concerned that would be an issue. It has not.
Good.
Yeah.
I have never faced that. I have several married friends here with kids. I've got several single friends here. They're also in their 30s, and it's never once been an issue.
Yeah.
And so I'm thrilled I was wrong completely.
Yeah.
For the most part, I feel like people that are closer to me are just like, we just want you to be happy, and you're rocking it, girl, and so we're happy for you.
Yeah.
I think the people that aren't as close to me that ask, it's more of a curiosity than it is. You know, I think there's sometimes that, like y'all said, I mean, there's sometimes people look at us and they're like, wow, I mean, to have that time. Of course, you have to know on the other side, we're also looking at y'all sometimes and going, wow, to have, you know, I don't know about Kada because she's like, the jury's still out on kids, but you know, for me, I mean, there's certain times where I adore children, and I have been very close to people's children who I've dated before, and so there are times where I'm like, man, I really would love to have that life, you know. So I think it's always the grass is greener. On the other side, you know, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly fun aspects of being single. Not gonna lie about that.
Absolutely. But I think it's also, you know, how you frame it to yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas I've never been someone, this might be controversial on this podcast.
Go for it.
No, I've never been someone who's like, you know, craved having children. It's just not something that's been for me. But I love my niece and nephew, so I feel like I get that interaction from them.
Plus, you're going to babysit my kids.
No.
I took a picture of my boys in front of her door one day.
Yeah.
I was like, they're waiting.
I was like,
Of her house?
I mean, I was in I was over there, and it was a joke.
Like legit, when like people come in with their kids at the office, she's like Lysol. I'm like, really? Like they are barely out the door, and you are already wiping stuff down. She's like, they touch stuff.
I don't
saw
blame
them.
you. They're like,
I was like, Kada lives there, boys. Go sit on her step.
That's just mean and hilarious.
Unpleasant picture. No, but I mean, you know, it's. So for me, I feel like the time frame has been removed.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little, I've taken that pressure off of it myself. And I think that's great for me, but that's definitely not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think it really is so different.
It does. I was going to say just between the two of us, because I mean, and that's something that recently I've started to feel. It's not in the traditional sense of, oh, I feel my biological clock ticking. It's like, okay, Mary Allison, you usually run the clock down on things in life, you know, to try to pack as much as you can in. And that's the case. I mean, I do need to probably start thinking in that direction. I'm still going to push it to the last minute, I'm sure. But, you know, and that would be, so we have a different frame of reference there. That would certainly take a lot of pressure off for sure if you don't have to, you know, and maybe that's not in the plan. You never know what your life plan is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, you can say you think it's going to be one way and then.
What'll be will be.
What made you come down here?
I was working in Baltimore and lived up there, loved it, and then I decided to go to culinary school, and I did. Yeah, I've been to culinary school, and I went to actually.
She's an amazing cook.
I didn't know
also.
that.
Yeah, and so I went to Charleston, and I worked there for several years, and then was just ready for a change.
Yeah.
And my roommate at the time was coming up here, so I just sort of hopped on that train and moved up here too.
Danielle, we miss you.
I know. I miss you so much.
That's awesome. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so
I always see your delicious meals you post. And I'm
I
like,
know, right? I'm like,
that is better than my chicken nugget.
yeah.
But I mean, I've moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Like both professionally and like physically, geographically. So it's, again, I'm sort of grateful that I have been able to do that and sort of on what I wanted to do, just do it. There's no one else to check in with.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I feel very settled in Greenville. And so I'm happy that it led to me to where I am now.
Right, right.
Well, and that's a good point too, is the flexibility that you have. I mean, I've done things professionally that I would not have had the opportunity to do.
Because you used to do PR.
I did used to do PR. I ran my own consulting firm, and then I also had a band management company. So, I mean, honestly, that would not have happened if I was.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's pretty cool.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
We had about 4 or 5 artists on our roster. So there was a local attorney.
Band management, chef, like.
Right? I mean, you wouldn't think that.
I'm like accounting.
But I mean, I couldn't do that again because it was a crazy life. But it was
Real accounting.
fun. Yes, there you go.
Real accounting.
What do you mean?
Not like I'm an accountant.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Wait, what?
Never mind.
So that's just like go
She's like,
over.
what?
It's the blonde hair.
Real.
You said you're a TikTok fan.
TikTok.
Oh yeah. I'm just getting back into it.
Okay.
I deleted my app.
Yeah. Is that when you had the whole you're gonna get hacked there? Is that where
China
you're
is gonna
freaking
watch
out?
your dance videos.
They're already
Like,
watching everything.
Oh my
anyway, so
god,
it's
they
okay.
are. They're gonna blackmail me. with my dance
Everybody's
videos.
watching that. I'm sure the FBI is having fun listening to my conversation.
Yeah, we would send our videos back and forth to each other in my girlfriend's text thread. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Some of them were funny. I sent you some dance videos.
did.
Kate
They
was
were
like, "Don't
very
ever send
good.
me anything like that again, ever."
don't.
Also, please do,
So
because
you
I'm
want-
keeping
But also
all of
please
this
do.
blackmail for you when you
mean-
run for office one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm not gonna send you mine.
You have to share. You have to
Gander.
We actually said we should do one.
Yeah.
We
You
just
said
don't know
that.
what- yeah, we
you
said-
said that.
The opportunity is there, but I mean, I just feel like the time suck. I mean, you really have to, if you want him to come off and not look Buster, then you need to,
Practice.
and you need to, and that's just the next thing you know, a couple hours are gone.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
Editing, it's like
know.
looking good.
And it
It doesn't
looks
just
so
happen.
complicated.
I mean,
It takes time.
It takes some
Yeah.
time.
to look mediocre.
It takes some time to right, exactly, to just barely hit the mark.
I'm afraid of looking old. That's my thing on there. I'm afraid of looking old.
I'm afraid of looking old in general,
Yeah.
in daily life. I mean, fortunately, I feel like my family has pretty good genes. We all look pretty young for our age.
Oh, yeah, you do.
You
look amazing.
I mean, I had some clients recently. They were like, "There's no way that you are." They were thinking I wasn't even 30 yet, and I was like,
Yeah.
I know.
I thought you
And
were in
that
your 20s when I
happens.
met
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Which is great. I'll keep riding that way. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a big concern, single or mom. That's
We were just talking, and Ashley said, what did you say, when you're 40?
Yes. Trip will be 18.
I was like, when I'm 40, Bo will be 1 month old.
okay. When I'm 40, there might not even be a kid yet. So my kid, I'm gonna be 90 when my kid is 15. They're gonna be like, "Is your grandmother?"
That would be
No.
no.
Not a milk, it's a gilf.
Literally, I'm gonna be like, "Whatever, y'all. I still look good."
Oh, God. So you're from Greenville.
I am.
Has it changed so much?
It has changed incredibly. In fact, I was telling some clients recently that were here from Colorado Springs. They were just blown away, and I said, they were like, "I mean, has it always been like this?" I said, "No. I mean, downtown used to be, even when I went off to college, there was nothing downtown, and it was just kind of a dump. When my brothers, 10 years before that, were heading off to college, downtown was super sketchy. It was just ugh. And I think as Greenville grew outward, and this happens, in cities, as it grew outward, they just sort of left behind the core component where it began. And I think sometimes that happens because it's the new shiny development of McAllister Square and Haywood Road and then Woodruff Road, and it kind of moves outward. But we've always had some really strong visionary people here in this community who really stepped in and said, we've got to have a plan for 15, 20, 25, 30 years down the way. And Greenville's always done that. And I think it's one of the reasons that we weathered the textile industry leaving, as well as we did, because people stepped in and said, okay, that is our economy. And when it went overseas, what are we going to do? And it's the same thing with, economic development downtown. And now you see people are flocking here. I get calls
it's
all
crazy.
the time from people. And I'm like, well, how did you even find out about us? Well, I read about it in a magazine. I'm like, who's writing about Greenville, South Carolina?
Everybody.
Everyone.
All
the time.
It is bananas.
It is.
It's wild. It's wild.
I love it.
It's a great place, though. And I feel like people always talk about how friendly people are here. And that makes me really happy because we are, and we're a very inclusive community. And I really appreciate that about Greenville, because I think a lot of places, especially right now, as polarized as everyone is.
Yes. Well, it's funny, I'm from New Jersey, and a lot of my friends that I'll talk to, it's completely different up there right now.
Yeah.
Just like, they always call it the Wild West.
Right.
They're like, there you are again at a restaurant. Like,
Right.
I'm like, the Wild West?
Right.
Like, just saw your video of you at the zoo. Like, your kids were eating goldfish in public without a mask on. And I was like,
I know.
it's just
terrible.
kind of different.
Well, and I think in a lot of places, too, as things have gotten rough with COVID and politically, like, it's just, they're these sort of epicenters of just, angst, and people are fleeing from that. I've gotten a lot of calls recently from people who are coming from up north, and they're just looking for maybe a little bit more of a conservative environment, maybe a little bit more of a laid-back environment, maybe somewhere where people just aren't about to lose it.
Yes.
And apparently, there are a lot of places where that's the case, and I'm glad that's not Greenville, because right now, life
It's a
is,
good
people are
place to
stressed
be.
out, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. I think it has something to offer everyone.
Yeah.
Families, single people, retirees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents are looking at potentially coming
I was about to
down
just
here.
ask you, like, are your
Yes.
parents, would they ever come?
Love them. They need to get here ASAP.
So your mom was a reporter.
She was an anchor, yes.
Anchor, okay.
Yeah.
And
Didn't she
so
cover
fun.
that one podcast that what was the one? It was like Serial, the one that happened like in your town.
The first season of Serial. Well, I from Baltimore, so
Yeah.
that was the case there.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Lincoln Park.
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
So, and I grew up right by Lincoln Park. Yes. So yes, when I'm not sure. I haven't really talked to her about it, but I believe she was an anchor at the time that happened, because I was in I think high school.
Okay.
I would have to double check on the years. But yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, you told me because
Yeah.
you told me to listen to that one, Serial. Have you listened to this?
I don't think so.
It's
so
it's
good.
an excellent podcast, really well done.
I haven't heard it either.
Not as
but
well
that's an
as us.
interesting case.
Yes,
for
I'm
sure.
sure. But it was especially interesting to me just knowing
You're
like
from
the
there.
roads that they
Yeah.
talk about and things like that. But that's a good one.
Yeah.
They've tried to come before, and then it didn't work out, and so hopefully they'll be back.
Yeah, I'm hoping they will be.
They're
Yeah.
torn between.
I know. Well, they've got my brother and his family up north, and then me here.
Mhm.
So who
Yeah.
knows though?
I think my whole family's moving here.
Good.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, they have a place, so they like come down often. So that's
Good.
yeah. So anyway,
They have a place.
well,
They
they
have a
do.
place.
It's like the other day. I
The
actually,
other place.
I actually went there the other day. I was like,
Just to be alone?
yeah. I left on like Saturday
you
at like
gotta
11,
do.
and I was like, I'm leaving. And Chris was like, where are you going? And I just left.
Don't worry
For
about
like
You're
an
like,
hour.
don't call me,
For
and
like
I
an
won't
hour.
call you.
I just sat down, and I couldn't find anything on TV, so I basically sat there for an hour, like scrolling. I think I watched like The Office.
Yeah.
And then I felt recharged enough to go home.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. If you need
That's
key,
the other
just
thing.
let
We
me
never have
know.
to go through that.
I was like, you may
No.
just put a lockbox. You can start renting it out
Yeah.
by the hour, just for moms to go and
Now,
decompress.
being in real estate will make you feel like that. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh my
Especially during the
gosh.
spring season. There'll be times, even as a single person, I'll sit down and I'm like, just staring at the wall. I'm like, this is such a luxury. Just to have those moments.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. for
Yeah, this was
coming.
fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was fun.
Well, Mary Allison is agent at Wilson Associates. Where can they find you?
Online, we're everywhere.
We are.
On Instagram, Facebook. Mary Allison Zimmerman.
We all work
Realtor
together.
Associate. We do.
Yep.
We do.
You're the
Director of Brokerage Operations.
Ooh, that's a fancy title.
Yeah.
Fancy title.
She's our CEO of first impressions when you walk into the office.
She is amazing. She and Katie keep us rolling.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Seriously.
Shout out to Katie Borov.
So thank you. And online, I mean, we don't need to like
WilsonAssociates.net.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Kada and Mary Allison.
You can scroll all the way to the bottom for my profile, which is the only
It's
one that you need to be
alphabetical by
looking
last
at.
name.
I know. I'm
You're
like,
so-
really? Like, this
Can
is
we
my
mix it
life
up? Can
story.
we go, like, Z to
I know.
A
I
for a
told Nick, I was like,
little
can we
while?
just like a
down there,
wild
too.
card?
I'm
Like,
down there.
well, they saved the best for last.
Well, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
anytime.
This is lots of fun. You know, we'll be back. We can we can
Yeah.
reprise this performance.
Update. Post-COVID.
Update.
dating
Yeah,
update.
yeah.
Post-COVID dating.
And
Yeah.
then we gotta
things
both
will
we gotta both
change.
stay single. I don't think it's gonna change for us anytime
Yeah,
soon.
I'm like, we're good.
Oh, well, thank you to our sponsors.
Yep. Prime Lending.
Prime Lending.
Yes,
Amanda
thank you.
McCall.
Yep.
At Prime Lending.
And Fox and Kendall. What's Kendall's last name?
Kendall Fox.
Thank you. And then
Um,
I'm terrible with names.
Sharon.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so
They're
thank
fantastic.
you to those
Fantastic.
wonderful ladies. And then Sharon Wilson with Wilson Associates. And we have Blackacre Closing Attorneys and also Parham Smith Archenhold.
Yes,
They are
attorneys.
fabulous.
They are fabulous.
Everyone
I
knows
just sent
them.
them a closing the other day.
You did?
I did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. Well, thank you again. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time.